Hey, what's up everybody? Mike here, and this is going to mark the official start of our FBA journey. Today I'm going to go over the basics, what you need to do to sign up, and the things you should look out for before you ever even start sending in your shipment. Most importantly, we're going to cover sourcing. A lot of people have issues finding products to send to FBA. I get tons of questions about sourcing. Lots of sellers don't want to share their secrets, which is completely understandable, but I'm going to give you some tips today about finding great items to sell, and I'm going to go over how you can sell them. Alright everyone, before we get going, I wanted to show you this really fast. This is all the units we're going to be packing in the series and sending in. There's over 600 units. This whole set includes tons of t-shirts, hundreds of t-shirts, and hundreds of posters, some glassware so I can show you guys restrictions. And then I have some goods that are actually packaged and ready to go, but I'll go over those more in the video series. Alright everyone, we're going to cut over to my computer screen. I'm going to show you how to sign up for FBA, and then we're going to talk some about sourcing and the basics. Hey, what's up everybody? We're going to go over how to sign up for Fulfillment by Amazon. So just go to Google, type in Fulfillment by Amazon. It's the very first result. As soon as you type in Fulfillment, you're going to go on the first link that's not advertised down here, and you'll have the Amazon Services page. From there you're going to click Get Started, and there's two options. If you already have a merchant account on Amazon, you can add your FBA account to that account. All you have to do is sign in, or you can register from scratch. And once you do this, basically they're going to prompt you for information, type it all in, and you're good to go. It's really that simple. Alright, so now you're all signed up for Fulfillment by Amazon, but you don't have anything to sell. So the question is, where do you get all the good merchandise to sell on Fulfillment by Amazon? Let's say 90% of fulfillment is done through retail arbitrage or private label. Now I'm going to explain those to you quickly, and I'm going to explain to you what I do to counteract that. Retail arbitrage is a really simple concept. You go to big box stores and you buy the stuff that's on clearance that's not selling locally, and they're getting rid of it at a really cheap price. You then sell it online where there's a much larger market and you can sell it for much more money. I have great examples of this myself, but it's not my primary source of sourcing. Secondly, private label is basically having someone from China or wherever manufacture a product for you with your brand name on it, and then you sell it as kind of your own merchandise on Amazon. So you create your own listing, which eliminates competition in a listing basis. However, then you have to battle for ranks to sell that product. Now this can be a great opportunity to make tons of money. The problem with it is you have to find a reliable manufacturer. It's a lot of upfront money to even get the process going, and lots of people try to go through Alibaba and these other sites, and honestly there's much better routes. There really is. I'm not going to talk a lot about private label in this series because it's really more of an advanced thing, but if you do go that route, look for a shipper in China that speaks English, and you can create a relationship with them so they can go to the factory and inspect the product for you, and it eliminates a lot of steps in the process. Build a relationship with them, and over time you can build a really big product brand, and you'll have a great relationship with someone that's in China. Going through Alibaba and such is really a lot more complex. There's a lot of opportunity to be scammed, and it really can create big issues if you get malfunctioning products sent to Amazon. It could really get you banned for all time, so you really need to pay attention to how you're doing it. Alright, let's talk more about arbitrage. This is the biggest, most common way to source on Amazon Fulfillment. Almost everyone does it to some extent. I do it myself, although I don't do it as my primary because there's too much competition. When you're doing arbitrage, most people go to the stores. They have an app on their phone like ScanPower or a Profit Bandit or whatever, and they scan all the barcodes through the store and see what they can sell at a higher price at Amazon. They see the sales rank of the item and that kind of thing. Now that works, yes. It's not really my style. I'm not this guy who's going through the store scanning everything. I like to be in and out of stores, get the stuff I need. I think a much bigger asset to everyone, obviously you have it if you're watching this video, is the internet. See, everyone talks about going to the store and scanning and getting all these great deals. I've gotten some of the best, absolute greatest retail arbitrage deals online, and it really there's a great opportunity for everyone to source online. I don't know why more people don't talk about it. I really don't understand it. And a few I'm going to cut to my computer screen and show you a few things, but overall my absolute best deal has been through online, and it's been through one of the biggest box stores in the world, Target. Target has a clearance section on their website. Right after Christmas I went to their clearance section and I noticed they had these Ninja Turtle beanie hats. And I noticed they had a product code to save 20% on clothing. And I waited about a week and I got a coupon through my email that gave me another 20% off. So these hats were $10 each, and I paid $6 each for them. I bought 100 of them. I paid $6 each for these hats, and they're selling for $25 on Amazon, and there was no competing Prime listers. So I sent them in. I labeled them at $25 each, and I'm almost completely sold out in just a couple weeks now. And it's been by far my best score, and I got it through the internet. The most important part about this deal is it was a major box store. It was their clearance section online, yet all these sellers managed to miss it. Now, I'm telling you this because the sale is long gone. The hats aren't even for sale on their website anymore. So I'm not worried that someone's going to go buy the rest up and then compete with me on Amazon. And in reality, I'm not too worried about that anyways. The point is, people are missing the most accessible routes of merchandise right in front of them. So now is your chance to step in and really just up your game and do better than they do. Now let's talk about the third way of sourcing, the way I like best. It's unique merchandise. It's thrifting. It's used goods. These are markets that are much less competitive in the Prime program. So I specialize in video games. I sell thousands of dollars worth of used video games through Prime. There's no competition, and this stuff sells like hotcakes. I'm not kidding. Everyone's talking about buying new products and flipping this or flipping that. I send in used video games all the time, and they sell perfectly. You can do this with so much other merchandise. I sent in used plush dolls that were in good condition, and I made like 6 times my money. These are much better scores than any of those new products will ever bring you. So I think it's far more important to realize where you need to be and where is less saturated. So my suggestion to you as a new seller is to look for things that are less saturated and you can really grow and build your business upon. For me, it's been used video games. For you, it can be used plush dolls, or used kitchen equipment, or knives, and there's so many different things you can do. So I'm going to cut over my computer really fast. I want to show you some good opportunities to source online, which include clearance sites, some deal sites. Now, I would stay away from daily deal sites. They're a little oversaturated, but I want to show you a few places and talk about it a little bit more. Alright, so let's talk about sourcing online. The internet is the single most powerful tool you ever have as a seller anywhere. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what they argue. It is absolutely the most powerful thing. It has so much information, has so much opportunity, and people just pass it up constantly. So to start out, do something really simple. Type in clearance at Google, right? You get literally thousands upon thousands, actually 361 million results for clearance, just the word clearance. Now you can spend hours going through these and finding great products. But let's use Target as an example because I talked about it before. You come here, there's a huge variety of stuff. I'm going to click toys, although toys is something you probably want to stay away from. It's very saturated. And say you find a toy you like, right? This is why the internet's so much easier. Then copy the name of that toy and go over to Amazon and simply paste it in. Just like that, you have the results for the item. So you can order this from Target for $6, and here it is for $10.90. So you could make a little bit of profit on it, probably not a great deal. But more importantly, you simply scroll down, you have a sales rank, 15,000 in toys. That's great. You have a sales rank. If you were to put this item up at a lower price than the top price, I bet it would sell in seconds. I'm not even kidding. And you can check all this great viable information right on the internet. And you can compare it right to Amazon's site, which is so much more important than sitting there with the scanner hoping it's correct. I'm sure those things make mistakes, although that's not something to bank on. But the point is, you have the internet. This is such a better tool to source. I don't get why people pass it up. But just an example scrolling through here, I mean, you have like Hot Topic, JCPenney, Home Shopping Network, QVC. I mean, these results are crazy. You can go through all this stuff, and this is how I source most of my retail arbitrage. But more importantly, I source a lot of unique goods, which sell much better. And how I source those is through thrifting, through eBay auctions, and things like this. So I'm going to show you eBay really fast. So I showed you guys before how I use Gixxen to snipe auctions. And if you haven't seen that, I'll prompt it up in the corner. Actually, it's this corner because I'm down here. And you'll be able to see how I use Gixxen to snipe auctions. But recently, right, I purchased 53 Game Boy games. And what I'll do is take the ones that aren't worth a lot of money, and I'll get them all packaged, send them all to FBA, and they'll sell very fast through Prime. Right here, I bought 55 brand new video game and CDs and DVDs. Now, DVDs and CDs aren't going to sell well, but there's a few video games in there worth a ton of money. I could send them to FBA and make a crap ton of money, and I only paid around $30 for the lot. I mean, eBay is a great sourcing option. All these things you really have to look into before you're wasting your time in a store scanning. I don't get it. And overall, I think using unique goods is a far better strategy for sourcing because you have less competition. You can continue to get different goods in, so it keeps your inventory fresh. And you should mix it with the retail arbitrage to really create a strong store on FBA. Alright, let's talk about some more great options for sourcing besides clearance sections in eBay and thrift stores. Another great section to look through is slickdeals.net. Now, I say stay away from deal sites. However, Slick Deals features lots of deals from lots of different places. And this is actually where I bought a bunch of Nerf guns and flipped them for like quadruple my money. So it's a great place to look for deals that aren't really popular and you can make good money off them. And the best part about this site is if you pay attention, you can actually look and see how many people have gone through with the deals, have clicked the links, so you can see if things are popular, and that way you know if you should maybe go with it or not. Now, the site has tons of different deals to go through. I don't want to click and go through them all, but I mean, there's everything from computers to apparel to toys and so many more you can look through. It's really a good opportunity to look through deals, see if you can find anything. Funny enough, a lot of the deals are from Amazon, so you have to watch out that you're not looking where you're trying to sell. Now, aside from that, there's a huge debate going on about what items sales rank you should sell. So like I showed you on the Amazon page, you can check the sales rank of an item. And now lots of people say they won't sell under 100,000 or 200,000, whatever. In all reality, if your sales rank is in the top 50% on Amazon, it will probably sell before a year's up. I'm not kidding. But if you want to stay safe, I say stay in the top 15%. This is about a year outdated, this information, but it's a general guideline. The top 15% in sales rank for books is 1.6 million. That's right. For toys and games, 123,000. For appliances, 300,000. Arts and crafts, 138,000. Automotive, 700,000. Baby products, 30,000. Beauty products, 100,000. Cell phones and accessories, 300,000. Computers and accessories, 1 million. You have up to the millionth rank to be in the top 15%. I mean, it's crazy. Video games is one of the smaller ones with 23,000, which I actually like because it's easy to tell if something will sell right away. Now let's move on from here. If you want to check a product's selling price, selling history, ranks, that kind of thing, there's a great website. It's called camelcamelcamel.com. Interesting name, I know. All you do is take the URL from the product, paste it in, hit enter. The product will then pop up, and below you have a sales rank. It'll show you Amazon's price for the item, third-party seller prices for used products, and then you can look and see what the trending price data is looking like. So for this item, we can see since July of last year, it's definitely dropped off a cliff, and it's kind of leveling out right above $10 now. You can do this with any product on Amazon. It keeps sales ranks, so it's a great opportunity for you to look and check items. If you keep this open with Amazon while you're searching online for deals and clearance, it's a great opportunity to look through, check your sales rank, really see what you got going on. Alright everyone, so that's essentially the very beginning basics, the things you need to know to sign up, and then what you need to do to get merchandise to sell on FBA. Most importantly, I'll always advise you take your time, learn about it, read the rules. Make sure when you find deals, you don't put all your eggs in one basket, you really spread it out. And this is going to be a business for you. Just slow down, make sure you make the right decision with your money always, and then move forward. When it comes to sourcing, I always advise never spend 20% of your disposable income on more than one product. If you do, you're really risking a lot, because if that product does not do well, you're going to lose all of that income. So make sure you're very smart with the amount of money you set forward. If you only have a couple $100s to source, then make sure you get multiple products with that couple $100. Don't just jump on the first deal you see, because it might not work out, especially when you're learning the ropes and you have no idea what's actually going to sell well. As with any business, you have to learn as time goes on. Yes, you're going to make mistakes. I've made mistakes. That's life. But make sure you don't make the wrong mistake by investing all of your money in one thing. Alright everyone, so you're at the point where you signed up for FBA and you're potentially starting to source. So the question is, once you get the items in from sourcing, what do you do with them next? What I'm going to do today is I'm going to go over my process of organizing inventory, bringing it in and putting it into my point of sale system, maybe to give you an idea of what you can set up yourself. I realize not everyone has a point of sale system. I realize everyone's setup is not the same. But I'm going to show you mine, give you some tips based on it, and then I'm going to go over actually entering the inventory into the Amazon program. And then tomorrow we're going to cover the exact supplies I use to ship out and my methods for shipping to reduce cost and hopefully shipments as well. Now there's a ton of stuff to ship, so I imagine it's going to end up being two videos. One that's informative, that really explains the process, and the one that actually breaks down doing the process. But before we even get to that, let's cover my process when inventory comes in, how I enter it in my POS, and then I'll show you guys exactly how to enter it in the Amazon system. That way you understand how to create shipments quickly, because there are ways to do it slowly and ways to do it efficiently. Alright everyone, I want to go over this setup a little bit. So all my merchandise comes from over here. I have a door that I come through and then the basement through. And then all new merchandise hits this table. This is where it gets sorted if it needs cleaned or not. There's a table over here I'll show in a second where I clean everything and then slide it down. But basically hits this table, and then I take the invoices and enter them into my point of sale system. From here I print barcode labels and then I pass them down with the merchandise down the row. And what this allows me to do is it all goes in my inventory at the price it cost, and then it gets tagged and listed and put on my shelf. That way when it sells, I just scan it back out and then it's out of my inventory and it calculates my profit. Now there's a few things to note here. When I do calculations for cost of goods sold, I do it a little differently. Say I go to the thrift store and buy 50 items and it costs me $100. Rather than putting the individual price of each item into my point of sale, I do what's called an average cost. And so then each unit would be $2. So then when I print up my barcode, it would just be $2 for each item from that thrift lot. That makes it very simple for me, and it kind of averages out the cost of outliers if something costs $100 versus everything else costing $1. So merchandise into the point of sale system, goes down to be cleaned and bagged, and then when it's finished, it'll look like this. It's bagged, it has a tag. Now this is very important for FBA, and I'll explain why in a second. So no matter if it's going on eBay or FBA, that happens, no matter what. But the reason it's important is this. I'm going to cut to my computer screen in a second and show you what I do at the point of sale system to calculate what's profit versus sales on like eBay and stuff with FBA. See, the main issue is a lot of people don't understand how to calculate FBA profit, but this has really simplified it for me, and I really like the process. But before I cut to my computer, I wanted to show you really fast. So after the point of sale system, I have a table here full of supplies to clean and repair. And then as we slide down, I have another table, and I have bags at the end of it where I can bag and tag everything. And then behind all of this is my packing area, and I have one table with all my supplies on it up top, and then below is like bubble wrap and shrink wrap and my scale. And this is actually going to be much wider once I get my other tables from my office, but I also have a ticket rail to hang, orders from and that kind of thing. So it's really just a big circle, and things come in and right back out, and then they all go through my computer. Alright guys, so let's go over exactly what I was saying. I apologize if that's not the best explanation, but the way it goes is merchandise comes in, it gets entered into this point of sale system. I print out labels and bag those items. They then go on my shelves or are sent to FBA. Now if they're here in my office and they go on my shelves, when they sell, I then pull the bag, scan it in the computer, put the sale price, and it automatically calculates my profit, which saves me tons of time, like boatloads of time. But if I send it to FBA, there's a little different process. I'm going to show you both here so you understand why I do it and how much time it actually saves in the long run. So the point of sale program I use is PHP Point of Sale. It's a great program. When I bought it, it only cost $100 for the entire thing. Now, when we get in here, we go to sales. I'm going to show you an eBay sale first. Say I sell on eBay. I've really simplified this to organize just individual sales. I hit eBay sales. Comes up right here. I'm using the exact shirt I just showed you guys, okay? It has the code on it. I then scan it in. It pops up. I have 23 other items from that thrift store, Salvation Army. The average price for each item is $2.82. Now, let's say it's sold for $10. I type in 10. That's a little tedious, but I'm working with the developer to fix this issue. Now I hit add payment, and I just do everything as cash because it's just the simplest route. And then when I hit complete sale, it'll print me out an invoice. I don't necessarily need to do it, but I'll do it so you can see, and then I'll delete the sale. Alright, so I hit cancel here. Even has my logo. It tells the, you know, how much they paid. I have a little note down here about returns. Really simple. So now that calculated my profit. It'll do the $10 minus the what is it, 82, and it'll put my profit in the system. Now that's my net profits, just minus cost of goods. It doesn't subtract eBay fees and that kind of thing. But the best part is I can then print it out. I have my net profits without my cost of goods, and then all I have to do is calculate my shipping costs, my eBay fees, and I have my finalized profits for the month. Now when I do this for FBA, it's a little bit different. What I'll do is type in FBA here, Amazon FBA shipment. Okay, now I've sent quite a few here, and a lot of these were tests, but what I would do is I would scan in the same shirt, and it comes up as 282. But instead of putting a cost here, I would put 0, 0. Now when I add this sale in, it's going to give me a negative 282 on my balance. And a lot of people are probably wondering why I would do that. And here's why. When I send shipments in, I subtract all of the costs out of my inventory and the items, and it comes out as a net loss. That's fine. Because then at the end of the month, I print up my FBA statement, and I count all of my income from FBA as a net profit. So it balances out, and it doesn't count that inventory as sitting in my facility, so I know exactly what is in here. And if I want to see how much money worth of merchandise is still at FBA, then I can go through and calculate it. So it's really that simple. I mean, I love this point of sale system. It saved me so much time, and it's so simplified now for me to do the FBA shipment, because then I would just hit add payment, hit complete, and it always prints out an invoice no matter what. But now that's subtracted out of my profits, and that's what's going to FBA. And then when it comes back, the actual income, I add it as just pure profit. That way I get an accurate number. Alright, more importantly here, I want to show you guys how I add items when they come in at my other computer. I'm sitting at my desk computer, but at my other computer, as soon as items come in, I hit this screen. I hit new item, and if it's an eBay lot, I would put eBay. I would type in the item number, and close it with the parentheses, and then I usually put eBay a lot, I think. Item number, close it with the parentheses, eBay lot. Then I would put its actual cost, so let's say 282 again as an example, and then I would put its selling price to match the cost. And this just allows me to do a quick glance at before I put in the finalized price to see a quick profit. And then you would put in the quantity and just hit submit. It's really like, it's that simple, and I do that for every item that enters. And then for that specific item, if I organize it here by newest, I can hit this. I can hit barcode labels, and this allows me to print them out with my Zebra printer. It's just like, it's that quick, that simple. That's why I love this program. Alright, now once you get to Amazon.com, I'm going to show you, after I get it at my point of sale or whatever, if it's going to fulfillment by Amazon, then I come right here and I get it all added into my shipment. Now there's a lot of ways to do this. I'm going to show you a couple of the simplest ways. The first way, you don't even have to sign into the seller portion. I got a new item for the sake of simplicity. It's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cup, and all I do is scan the barcode on it, right? So it's scanned, it shows up right away. I click it. Down here on the right, as long as you are ungated in that section, it will say sell on Amazon. I then put in the condition, brand new and unused. Okay, quantity 1, price. Now look at this price. That's almost $17 not for FBA. I'm gonna go $15.95 as FBA, right? From there, hit continue. Now this page comes up. If you were in the FBA portion, this page will come up right here. This is the most important page. This will save you a ton of time. Now, just for your very first product, you want to create a new shipping plan. Now I have one, so I'm going to hit add to existing, click it, and wow, it's been going for quite a while now. And due to me being sick, it's been over a month it's been sitting there almost. It'll be added to the shipment plan, and you can add quantities in and adjust them. But here's the important part. Don't keep doing that. That's going to slow you down tremendously. What you want to do is after your first item, then add them all to your inventory, and then what you do is you come up here and you hit add products. And then all you have to do is scan it if you have a scanner, or type in the keywords. Oh, it says not found because I already pulled it. Once you pull an item, I think it's out of that section. Let me see if this one works. No, I don't have it added in. But basically, once an item is pulled from your inventory onto the list, it removes it from searchability, just so you don't double list. But basically, you can pull all your items instantly and keep adding them, and then your shipment will be done here. Instead of individually adding them each time, having to go through the loading screen and picking the shipment over and over. So you just pick the shipment, add products, do them all at once, edit all their quantities, super straightforward and simple, and you're good to go. Another cool thing about this page to know, if you edit numbers and just leave the page, it does save. It's auto saved. So there's no save button, you don't have to hit anything, it auto adjusts as you go on. Alright, I want to show you one other great tip that will save you a ton of time once you get going. If you are not adding mostly merchant fulfilled products and mostly FBA, when you scroll down to the bottom here, there's a way to set it up that it's automatically on FBA over merchant fulfilled. And so down here you can pick a ship method. If you pick I want to ship the item myself, that is merchant fulfilled. If you pick I want Amazon to ship it for me, that is FBA. Now if you come here and you switch your settings, mine are already switched to FBA. But say you're on fulfilled and you're doing mostly merchant fulfilled, you can hit remember this setting, and then at the bottom it'll always have merchant fulfilled checked first. Then if you already have merchant fulfilled checked and you want to do FBA, you can click FBA and it'll have the same box. That way you don't have to keep checking and switching back and forth. This will save you a lot of time if you're trying to list one over the other, or if you do them in bunches. So if you do mostly FBA, switch it to FBA, then switch it back once you go to your merchant fulfilled. It's just a quick tip that'll help save you some time. Alright everyone, if there's one video in this series you should absolutely pay attention to and watch, it is this one. We're going to go over all of the rules and guidelines that you need to know to keep yourself out of trouble with FBA. The absolute best part about FBA is when it comes to issues or trouble, there's really only two things that can cause you to get in trouble. One is your shipments in, and two is the merchandise. So really besides that, there's not many mistakes you can make to get in trouble, because you send your stuff to them and they take care of the rest. So I'm going to go over some of the shipping guidelines you need to know and some of the important stuff that you need to know to make sure you have absolutely no trouble, you don't get in trouble with Amazon, and you can continue on your journey. Alright, the absolute most important rule and the first thing you need to know is they have a zero tolerance policy for counterfeit goods. They don't care about your story about how they got sent there. They don't care that you found them at the thrift store. If you send something in counterfeit, you're going to get in a lot of trouble and potentially banned off the site. Mostly because you're ruining their brand reputation by having them accidentally sell counterfeit goods. And usually you get reported for this by sending it in and then it sells, and then the buyer reports that the item was counterfeit. So you really need to make sure that absolutely everything you send in is not counterfeit. If you have any suspicion whatsoever you have a counterfeit item from the thrift store or garage sales or whatever, do not send it in until you know for a fact it is authentic. The second most important thing is when you ship in boxes to FBA, they do not allow you to pack the boxes full of packing peanuts, shredded paper, or stretched plastic like plastic wrap. Do not send those in. You'll get charged extra fees for handling. They do not accept those. I know it's something you wouldn't think of because usually packing peanuts are fine. I imagine they don't want to deal with the mess. Things that are acceptable are airbags and single long sheets of paper. I use a lot of newspaper. They allow that. If you send in any sharp items whatsoever, the sharp edge must be covered and it must not be possible for it to slide out. So your best bet is if you send in anything sharp, make sure you box. Plush dolls, stuffed animals, and clothing all must be polybagged and sealed. That doesn't mean you have to heat seal it. You can have stick seals, but make sure that they're in bags. They will not accept it if they're not in bags, and then they'll charge you processing fees for handling them. Alright, very important, if you send in any glass whatsoever, it must be bubble wrapped and potentially boxed, and it must pass a 5-point drop test. I have a box here so I can show you. When they do the drop test, they drop it from a couple feet above the ground onto pure concrete, and it must not break from hitting the top side, the bottom side, the long edge, the short edge, and one corner. So they're going to drop it on all those points to check it and make sure it does not break. So you need to make sure it's absolutely wrapped to handle that drop test. Also important, if you send in glass, they suggest that you label it all fragile on the outside so people know to handle it carefully. Another thing to note to make sure you don't lose out on a ton of money on fees is when you send packages in, you can have them labeled yourself, like you label them at your facility, or you can have Amazon label them. That really depends on your preference. Amazon will charge you 20 cents per label they have to put on, and it can take up to an extra week to process your goods. But that might be worth it if you don't have a lot of free time. Make sure you choose that they're going to be labeled at the facility ahead of time so they're unloaded and processed in the right area. Also, if you label them yourself, make sure you choose that they're already labeled so they can be expedited in the unloading process. If you send anything whatsoever that's liquid, it must be completely sealed in multiple poly bags or a heat sealed bag so that no liquid, if it leaks, can ever get out of the bag. If it's not completely sealed, I believe they'll just dispose of it. So make sure it's completely sealed and surrounded by plastic, and maybe tape the seal shut. That way there's no chance of it leaking out. So that's just a basic rundown of the most important things you need to know about the stuff you're sending in. If you do not follow these guidelines, you'll be charged extra fees. They might dispose of your goods. You can get strikes against your account. Specifically the counterfeit, do not play around with that. Do not send anything you think could be counterfeit in. You will get banned, and then you won't be able to sell it all. Now I'm going to cut to my computer really fast. I want to go over the guidelines page with you a little bit more, and then I'm going to cut over to my supply area. We're going to go over all the supplies I use for shipping today. That way I can show you. Make sure if you have any questions about the supplies, you look in the description. Absolutely everything we talk about today will be down in the description with links to buy it. So make sure you look down there. I got a ton of questions on yesterday's video about the supplies I used in the video, and they were in the description. Alright, so I noted everything that's really truly important you must follow to be successful. Although if you want to look through all of the guidelines, just Google FBA guidelines, you'll get this page, or you can look through the help section of the Amazon website, and basically you can go through everything you need to know here. More importantly, some stuff I didn't highlight are the fees. It's not really my section of expertise, and you can just calculate them with the calculator ahead of time, but you can look further into the fees, you can look further into the guidelines that they want you to follow and such. So here's the page. Make sure you look through it before you ever send in a shipment. Look for extra things that I may have missed. You need to make sure you're familiar with this stuff, read it. There's quite a bit of it, but focus on the shipping rules, the fees, and the general overview. A lot of the other stuff is filler. They do have videos available, but honestly they're pretty horrible. I'm pretty disappointed in Amazon's ability to make videos for such a big corporation, but they do give you a general guideline, but they're the most boring, ridiculous, monotonous videos you ever watch in your life. Alright, let's talk about the supplies I use for FBA real fast. Obvious things everyone should have are bubble wrap of some sort. Stretch film is very useful. You can use it in the place of poly bags for a lot of things. Tape gun I talked about earlier this week in my video. Newspaper, everyone should have this. You can use long sheets of single paper to pack, so this is great for packing boxes. If you have a laser jet printer, you need these label sheets to print labels. If you don't, then you need some kind of label printer. I use the Zebra 2824 plus. Alright, so you have the printer. Also very important are bubble mailers of some sort. You can use the post office ones as filler, or if you want to like stick things in here and then put them in the box. It's important to make sure your shipment is very protected. As far as boxes go, always use used boxes. Amazon doesn't care about the quality, they just want the stuff there safely. Now here's something important I didn't talk about earlier, is poly bags. I use 3 sizes. I have this very small size, and then I have a medium size that fits DVDs and such. Now when you send poly bags in, if this measurement is more than 6 inches wide, it's required to have a suffocation warning label. So I use rolls of labels and add them basically on anything that's polybagged with a sizable opening, just to be safe. So you should label anything that's polybagged with no label on it. I also have these giant bags which have the label printed on them. I love these. These are my favorite. I use them for probably most everything I send besides video games. So everything here is a link down below. I also use my LaserJet printer. That'll be linked down below. And then I have my Accutech scale, which I've talked about a million times. So all of this stuff I use is really important. I use every single thing here constantly. I'll link it all below. If you have any questions, make sure you leave it in the comments and I'll get back to you. Hey guys, to go along with the other stuff I mentioned today, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the categories that require approval on Amazon. There's quite a few of them, and they all have different requirements. Obviously, you can find this page just by Googling the same thing, product requirements or whatever. But if you go to this page, you find this page, there's a list of all the categories that do require approval. All you need to do is click the requirements section, and then at the bottom it will have a contact us section to get started, or it will have some type of prompt system that you need to submit documents or receipts or whatever it may be, like right here, this button, request approval. So make sure you, if you want to get in different sections before you even get started, click them, see what the requirements are. They're different for all different categories. A lot of them are very easy to get into. They require maybe 3 receipts from a department store or proof that you purchased something. Some are a little bit harder, like clothing and accessories requires a giant spreadsheet to be filled out. But they all are different. Check them out. Look into the things you're interested in getting into. Hey, what is going on everyone? Mike here, and this is episode 5 of the FBA series. Today we're going to go over actually listing merchandise, packaging and organizing merchandise, and then sending in your first shipment. Now basically, I'm just going to go over my listing process quickly to show you how I'm efficient. After that, I'm going to physically show you how I pack my packages for my shipments. This includes bagging them, tagging them, and then putting them in boxes. Now this is a pretty long process because of the amount of units I have. So again, I think this video will end up being in 2 pieces. The first one will be me showing you how I organize everything ahead of time, then me bagging it, and then I think the last video will probably be me physically putting it in the boxes, packaging it out to go, and then going on an overview over my last 30 days of FBA, how I've done, and the things I've done to make that amount of money. Now, if you've been following the series, I truly appreciate it. I've got lots of support. On the past 4 videos, we have well over 1,000 views just in like 3 or 4 days now. I truly do appreciate all the views, all the support for the video series. I was hoping it did well, so let's continue to share it. Let your friends know if they want to get into FBA. I think I really did a good job explaining a lot of the things people don't realize about FBA. So I thank you so much. Let's get going. Hey, what's up everybody? Mike here. I want to talk a little bit about listing before we get started on actually physically packing the items. I want to show you how I list efficiently, what I do that saves time. So when you list, there's 2 different options. You can list through the Amazon interface, or you can actually list through your seller account portion. I believe that listing through the Amazon interface, is usually faster, and the reason is because when you list in the seller version, they don't allow you to hit a button that says like list next item, so you have to backtrack or open a separate window or whatever. So the most important thing for listing quickly is a barcode scanner. If you're listing anything new, you should have a barcode scanner. It saves you so much time. As with yesterday's video, anything I talk about in the video will be linked in the description. But for instance, with new merchandise, right, you would just scan the barcode, and then if it's in Amazon's catalog, it will show up. Now I have some Ninja Turtles cups that aren't in their catalog, weird enough, but the other issue you'll have is if you have items without barcodes, which I'll talk about in a second. So I'm gonna search for something I do have really fast. Alright, so these pup glasses I also have, and actually if you look at the photo, it's one of the photos is this cup. Obviously this is in the duo pack, which I have as well, and I have some green ones. But when you go on here, you just go over to sell, and It's really that simple. That's all you do is you hit sell and you'll type in your information, which I'll show you really fast. Make sure you click the FBA box, and here's the box I was talking about. You can hit remember, hit continue, and then it'll be submit your listing. Now this will take you to the shipment page where you can add it to a shipment if you would like. However, you don't need to. You should do it the route I showed you. Now, what you want to do instead of doing what I just did is this. You go on Amazon, you type in what you need and find what you need and click in the third mouse wheel, and that opens a new tab. And so what I do for items is I'll open multiple tabs of the items I have, whether they be scanned in or whatever, and then I'll add them all to my inventory, and you can just cancel out when it's going into this window here. You can just close it. You don't need to go here. It automatically redirects no matter what, which is inefficient and very annoying. So you can just close it and you're done. You don't have to worry about the shipment portion. Then later you can go in your shipment, add all the items as long as one is already in. Now I have a bunch of other items here that don't have barcodes, like wristbands and stuff. And so you're gonna have to physically, search for them. But this is all I do is I'll just open the link and then move on to the next item. And so then I have like a Sonic shirt. I don't know if this is in their inventory or not. For whatever reason, a lot of the wholesale goods I have from Black Friday aren't in their catalog, so I actually have to go through and add them. So I might make a separate video about adding items to their catalog in the future. It's pretty straightforward, but you do need high quality images, which I do have of shirts. Alright, I swear it's like a curse. Anytime I grab merchandise to show you on camera, it's not in the catalog. This shirt is, I've seen it before, so if like I search Golden Axe t-shirt, it shows up, but I picked a shirt on purpose. I wanted to show you something. If you're in a gated section, which clothing is gated, you have to get approved. There's never a sell button over here. You can usually get a sell button if you can get into the directory, but since only one person is selling, I don't even think there's a way to get into the item directory where you can see competing prices. If you can get to that page, like if multiple people are selling something, there will be a sell box if you're approved at the top. If not, you have to enter those through the seller dashboard. But I promise you it's way more inefficient. I don't like it, and there's multiple reasons why I don't like it. I'm going to show you really fast. If you go to manage inventory and then add a product, this is where you would add them, and you can scan in your barcode to search keywords, and then I'll type in like Golden Axe t-shirt. Now we got our results here for different sizes, which is cool, but if we type in something like Portal wristbands, which I already know are in here, first of all, you'll see that it didn't show the same results it showed on Amazon in the rankings. Maybe because I spaced. There it is. Now look here, there's 3 different listings for the same item, right? Now to even see which ones are ranked high, I have to open all these windows anyways and check the ranking. So the reason I go through the Amazon search is because you see the results as someone would see them. This is the top result, so then you're going to list on that top result. The issue with doing it the other way is you're not on the top result to begin with. Now obviously you want to make sure you're typing in the right keywords, because actually with the Portal wristbands you're probably going to want to list on this one because it has 2 reviews, and reviews will bump things up. It's 5 stars on both, so that's really good. But doing it this way gives you that view to pick your options. Doing it through this says nothing. You have to go in there and look anyways. And also if you hit sell through, it'll show your sales rank up here in the top right. So that's good to know when comparing. But it's still annoying that you would have to go through and click all of these. Whereas if you go through the other interface, you can just see the sales rank right in front of you. Alright, so obviously you can use either the options. You can go through the main Amazon interface, or you can do the seller dashboard version. Either works. It's really your discretion, whatever you prefer. I prefer this method just so I can open multiple windows. But like I said, new products, I line them all up, scan them in. If they're in the catalog already, I open new tabs, then list them in order. Or if they're not in the catalog, I put them in a separate pile, add them myself. The only time you can't do that is if the category is gated, and then I'll add those later through this interface. But I don't like doing it through here because then you don't actually see the rankings in front of you, you don't see the reviews, you have to open multiple other windows. So I much prefer this method, going through this interface. What you can do as you choose. I just wanted to show you really fast so you guys understood how I did it, and obviously you'll learn what you like as time goes on. We're going to cut over to my packing area. I'm going to show you what I'm working on. I'm going to do some stuff on camera so you guys can see, and then we're going to go from there. Alright, so I have all the stuff on the tables over here. Obviously it's a big mess. So to start out, before I do anything, like every process I have, it all gets organized. So I'm going to start organizing this onto the table. I might record it and like fast forward it, but obviously I'm not going to make you watch me organize. So I'll be back in a couple minutes, everything will be organized, and we're going to go from there. Alright guys, I hope you realize how much stuff I have actually looking at it now. All the stuff laid out was just the stuff from this bin. So I'm not even like halfway through the amount of stuff I have. I'm going to finish organizing the rest, fast forward, and I'll catch up with you in a second. Alright, so I'm going to do a flyby really quick so you can see. So that's stuff I have packaged, and I need to package the games, which I'll show you. I saved them. And here's a flyby of absolutely everything so you can see exactly how much stuff is getting sent to FBA. So like I said, it's no joke. There is a crap ton of stuff, and it all has to be labeled and packaged, so I'm going to go over that now so I can show you guys exactly how I do it and hopefully help you out. Alright guys, so I'm going to start going over packing different items so you can see as a first-hand example how to do it. Hopefully this will help you not make any mistakes and keep you from having any issues with FBA. So I grabbed a bunch of different items. We're going to go over each of them and I'll show you how I do it. Let's start out with this shirt, right? First thing you need to do is make sure the shirt is neatly folded. It looks nice, no fur or anything on it. Obviously Amazon only takes new clothing, so it has to look top-notch. Make sure there's no defects, but more importantly, make sure it looks good for the customer, because what you send in is what they're getting. The way it's folded, you know, all that. Amazon's not really going to mess with this, so make sure it looks good. And I have a tag in here that's keeping me from folding it the way I want, so I need to maneuver the tag a little bit. So that's how I fold shirts, like a nice square, nice and tight. And then the large bags I have, like I said, supplies will be down in the links. Please do not ask me in the comments. It's all down there, always. That way you don't have to go searching for it. And then once it's at the bottom of the bag, I make sure it's nice and tight down there. And what I do is I pull off the seal strip, and then usually I fold the bag over. That way I can keep air out of it. So it's nice and tight, it looks good, the warning label's on there, although it's more important that it's just visible when they open it, and it looks nice and neat. So I'll do this for all the shirts that aren't wrapped. And what I mean by that is my wholesaler sends me shirts that are sealed. So if I have shirts that aren't sealed, I have to bag them. These I don't have to bag. They can go straight to FBA. More importantly, there's already the suffocation label on this bag, which makes it so convenient for me. Alright, so I have like these portal socks here. I'll do the same thing as before, except I'll use the smaller bag. That way I'm saving on cost. Same thing, try and get most of the air out, fold it over. Nice and neat, looks good. This bag requires a suffocation warning label. And I always just put it wherever the seam is, which is right here, I just put it right over that. That means they can't get in this bag without looking at that label, so there's no excuse for any issues. Now this is important if you have objects that you don't want separated. So I have these portal wristbands. They are a set, so they can't be separated. I'm going to put them in the small bag. And just so you guys know, you don't really have to be concerned about sending small bags like this. I was concerned about it, and I just recently sent a bunch of stuff, and none of it got lost. All of it sold right away. And if Amazon does lose it, they just reimburse you for the cost, so it's not a big deal. So we go in this little bag like this. I'll put the label up here, but most importantly, you need a do not separate label of some sort. I don't have them. I need to buy some. But I just wrote it on label paper, and I've done this before. It's not a big deal. It doesn't have to be like printed out. The customer will see it, so make sure it's nice and neat. But as long as it looks good and you can put the label up here, it's fine. There's no issues. And basically, I'm going to move on to glass because that's really important. But basically, when this stuff is finished, it's going to look like this. It'll be wrapped in bags, very nice, and then there will be a label that Amazon uses to track it. So this is how you want all of your stuff to look. You want it to look nice and neat, wrapped, good to go. Before I show you glass, actually, I want to show you one other thing. This is very important if you want to stay out of commingled inventory. For products like this knife, it's brand new. You can put a label right over the barcode. This will keep you out of commingled inventory as long as you print up a label for your inventory. However, there's items you don't want to put labels directly on. For instance, this is a brand new PlayStation 3 game. You don't want to put a label right on a brand new PlayStation 3 game. So what you need to do is wrap the game. Wrap the game like this. Make sure it can't shift, because this is important. It can't shift in any way. If it can shift around left to right, which is an issue, because what you're going to do is you're going to take the label and put it over the barcode. Now if I put it here and this game shifts, then they might accidentally scan this barcode and you end up in commingled inventory. So put it somewhere it can't be shifted. Tape this down, which I'll do in a second, and then put your label right over the barcode. This means there's no chance of them ever scanning this barcode, and there's no chance of you ending up in commingled inventory. That's how you stay out of it. Later on, when I finally finish this entire package, I'll show you about printing the labels and labeling, but right now I want to focus on keeping things safe, according to guidelines, etc. Alright, let's move on to glass here. Alright, so this glass has to pass a drop test from 5 different points. So what I'm going to do is wrap it in bubble wrap pretty liberally. I'd say that's pretty good for how I'm going to set it up. Now what I always do is tuck in the bubble wrap and then fold over this way. This creates a cushion here, even in between, which gives you extra protection. Do the same on this side. And see, I should have centered it a little better because this side's a little less protected. Now this is pretty bubble wrap, but I wouldn't trust that this is going to be able to be dropped on the concrete safely multiple times. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in this box, and this is where all the bubble mailers from Priority Mail come out. So what I'll do is I'll fold one of these over, stuff it in here. I'm actually going to need 2. And that'll make sure this cup is nice and safe. There's no issues whatsoever. Now as far as storage fees go, I'm not sure if they would take it out of this box or if they would leave it here. That is one thing I'm not too familiar with because I don't send in a lot of glass. But I think no matter what, if you're sending glass, it makes more sense just to protect it, make sure it's safe. And these are items that are going to sell, so I'm not too concerned about long time storage fees. Alright guys, I hope the first hand look kind of helped you get an idea of how I package things just to start out. The next video is going to be up on Tuesday because Monday's the Q&A, and it's going to go in further detail and finalize the entire shipment. I'm going to show you how I pack boxes, how I label the goods before then, how I sort based on the packing slip, and we're really going to go into the final details of finishing your shipment. I just wanted to show how I protect things. Obviously glass cups and stuff are very fragile. You probably want to bubble wrap and box them. Now as far as everything else goes, you can basically bag everything you send in. If you don't want it commingled inventory, make sure you put labels over the barcode and it can't shift from behind that label. Now one thing I didn't show on video that I need to package is this. This is a set of 4 glass cups which I have upside down, and the issue here is I need to bubble wrap this and I need a box to fit it, but it's kind of like an oblong shape, so I have to find some boxes to fit them in. If I can find any, I'll do a little video about how I package them. These really need to be safe. They're selling for over $70 on Amazon, so I need to make sure they get there safe. The other thing I didn't show were my posters. The reason I didn't show the posters is because I'm not going to package these. Basically, I'm going to put a label over them, and it's done. And the reason I'm doing that is because the resources to package each of these is roughly 50 to 60 cents in packing supplies, and that's at a good rate. Honestly, I've done a lot of research. I have poster tubes. They're not cheap. They're really hard to find good quality ones. So it would cost around 60 cents per poster, which is not worth it to me. I paid very little for these posters. I bought them through a sale last year, and they're really extra stock. So I'm going to send them in. I'm going to hope that they don't get crushed. If something happens and some of them are damaged, then it's kind of the risk I'm taking. That's my choice. But if you're going to send in only a few posters or they cost you a good amount of money, you probably want to cardboard tube them. I don't think there's any restrictions against it though. Hey, what's going on everyone? Mike here, and this is officially the end of our FBA series. I'm going to cover the final part of the shipment and then go over the results for my first month of FBA ever and show you guys exactly how it worked out. Overall, I just want to thank everyone for all the support. I do appreciate it. Continue to share the videos, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't. It really means a lot to me. I want this series to do well. I try to pack it full of information to help new sellers be successful on FBA. I think I did a pretty good job. So I'd appreciate all the support I can get with sharing the video. Well, let's cut over to all the units I finally have bagged, and we're going to move on from there. Alright, so here are all the units from before. They're now all bagged and ready to go. And so we're going to move on to the next step so I can show you exactly how I organize and then get everything where it needs to be. And there's some shirts under there from eBay. I just have to bag them as well to put them on the shelves. So here's all the units. We're going to cut to the computer, and then after that we'll actually get into the packaging portion. Alright, so if you go to your Amazon page and you're in your inventory tab, to get to your shipping plan that you've created, you need to hit shipping queue. You need to click shipping plans and then go to your top plan, which should be the plan you're working on. So now you get a full list of all your units. You can edit quantities, double check everything, and make sure you're good. Now you'll notice I've been talking all week about 600 units and we're only at 206, so I want to explain that a little bit. The reason that is because I was going through my posters and I realized that whoever listed all the posters, which I'm pretty sure it's the people over at Poster Nation, they purposely entered the dimensions wrong on all of the listings. And the reason they did that is so your FBA fees show up as very, very high. I mean like $10 a poster or something. In order to fix this, you have to contact seller support for each listing and then get the dimensions changed. Now, it's going to take me a long time to get all of the numbers together to contact seller support and then get all of the information fixed. If I don't get it fixed before I ship it in FBA, they will charge me that amount because that's what it's being calculated as through the computer. So I need to edit that. I also ordered custom boxes for both of the glass cups I showed you yesterday, and those are, so I'm going to send the posters and the glassware and a separate shipment. Together there's over 300 units for just that. I have so many posters, and I think I have even more at my office, so I'm just going to get them all together, fix the listings, send them all in as a second shipment. This one is mostly shirts and some video games, and so we're at 206 units. Now, when you get here, it's going to tell you what they think will need to be done to certain products and
what you should do to other products. If you bag everything, you don't need to pay attention to this. As long as you follow the guidelines, you don't even need to worry about this. This next one is telling you what needs barcode labels. If you follow this and only label what they say, all of the other items go into commingled inventory. So you get to choose if you want to do that or not. I just skipped this whole part. This is where it splits your shipments up and tells you what you're going to send to where. So as of right now, my shipments are set to 164 units get shipped to Jefferson, Indiana. 1 unit gets sent to Charleston, Tennessee. 19 units get sent to Middleton. And then 22 units get sent to Whitestown. Now, a lot of people like to change this and cancel shipments because they think it costs a lot more money, blah, blah, blah. Let me explain how this works. All of these locations are set by an algorithm. They're based on where in the U.S. they think your items will sell and what will allow them to ship it within 2 days for Prime. So the whole idea here is Amazon already sorted these based on where they should sell based on the algorithm, and they want you to ship them there for convenience. Now, the only time that's a little annoying is when you get like 1 unit to somewhere. But it's really not a big deal because their shipping rates are so phenomenal. I do not suggest messing with your shipments unless you need to. In all reality, they end up charging you a fee because they have to then take your item and ship it to the warehouse they want anyways. So just leave these alone unless they really made like ridiculous shipments that you don't want to deal with, and then you can condense them down. Overall, these are meant to be the best options for you. Why would Amazon steer you wrong with the items being shipped into them? And the rates are really good. So, I mean, this one item will probably cost me around $5, which isn't a big deal. And then these bigger packages will probably not cost me very much either. So once you're ready, and you do adjust these if you want, you hit approve shipments. So this is where I wanted to show you guys something. You can download a packing list if you want, and that's to organize your units ahead of time. But this is what I like to do. Click on work on shipment. Now when you get in here, hit review and modify units. From here, it has your full list of units, and you can print labels for every single item right from here, and the labels will be ordered in the order this list is. So this is what you should do. Hit print, and print this label as it's sent out. So now you have this list right here with the quantities. Print that instead of the packing list, because the packing list is in a terrible format. More importantly, now these units are in order with the labels you're going to print. So all you do is grab a unit, label it, put it in the pile. It's very straightforward. This is how you become efficient at doing this. A lot of people are searching around through this packing list. Alright, so now that I printed that stuff, I have my list for one shipment, and then I have all the labels for one shipment. Most importantly, they coordinate perfectly in order together, and then you do this for all of your shipments. Then we're going to go to the next step, which I'm going to cut to now. So basically now when I pull an item from the list, or however many I have, I'll label them right then and put them into a pile for each shipment. So I'm going to do that now. Obviously you're not going to watch the whole process, but I'll cut to it when I'm finished labeling them. Just quickly so you can see, if you have a product with a barcode already on it, make sure you fully cover the barcode when you're putting your labels on. Alright, so everything is labeled. It turns out that giant shipment is all of the t-shirts, so there's roughly 160 t-shirts out of everything. Now your next step is obviously packaging. For t-shirts, it's extremely easy because they don't need to be padded. But for other things, it can be a little tricky. Most importantly, don't worry about the number of boxes you have to send, because Amazon doesn't charge you based on a per box label. They charge you as like a cubic, I guess you would call it like cubic feet and weight as a whole rather than individual packages. So when you send 8 packages to one warehouse, those 8 are combined into one, and that's what UPS charges you for shipping since they're partnered with Amazon. So it's about that actual shipment's weight and not about individual boxes, and it's about that shipment's dimensions, not individual boxes. So send as many boxes as you need to, but obviously be cautious of using extra space in your boxes. Try to keep everything to a minimum. Now with shirts, I would just shingle these in here, and they can be mixed up. They don't have to be like in a certain order, and there's no packing slips or anything required. Once these are labeled, you print up special labels to put on the box, and then it's done. So I'm going to pack these into the box. You can watch
And then we're going to go over to the computer. I'm going to show you how I weigh and print up the labels. And then that's it. It's really that simple. And we're finished with this shipment from start to finish at this point. Most importantly, I'm going to try and pack as many shirts as I can get in here. This is one pile. I have another. So I think we're going to end up with 2 full boxes of stuff. Basically, when Amazon gets this package, they're going to pull everything out, and then they just kind of put it down a conveyor belt and scan the barcode, which tells them, who it's from, that they received it, and it makes your inventory active in the computer for each one they scan. And then they have what is called chaotic storage, and they basically put your items anywhere on any shelf in the whole facility, and then a computer tells them where to pick it up from. So there's no organization whatsoever in the sense of like organizing shelves neatly. Everything's everywhere, and a computer tells them which shelf to grab it from. And some of the warehouses even have robots that grab things now. However, I don't think that's like a worldwide system yet. So we're getting pretty tight in here. We want to keep packing it as full as we can get it. See if I can fit most of these in there. I do have some wristbands I want to toss in there as well. So we're getting close. I have a few more shirts I want to get in there, so I'm going to fit those 4 shirts in the middle, and the last couple packs of wristbands here. I'm going to push this down. A lot of those bags have air in them, so I'm going to have to be a little patient here. And as you can see, I'm using an old Amazon box I ordered something in. That's why I save all my boxes from them. And then, so that's good to go. I just got to grab my tape gun. Whenever I do boxes, no matter what, I cross tape this way. And what that is do is hold it nice and tight, and then I go the opposite way. And for big boxes, I'll go down one up first, just to secure the top. And then what I'll do is I'll go down this and then underneath, which will reinforce it from breaking through the bottom. Most importantly, when you package anything, people don't realize empty space is what causes damage. So no matter what you pack, if it's glass or anything really, make sure it doesn't jiggle around at all. You should be able to flip your box upside down and the item should be stable. If anything moves around, that's what can cause damage. Obviously shirts don't have that issue, but in general. Alright, so now let's move on to the next package. Alright, so I have another large box here, and the rest of the shirts on my right, so let's just get these stuff in here. I've been feeling this box would be a little too large for all of them, but I don't have any boxes that are large enough without a lot of extra room. You want to make sure if you, since you're bagging everything, you push the air out. Air can take up a lot of room and cause you not to pack tight. That's why when I wrap shirts, like in the other video, I try to push all the air out of the shirt bag. So this actually isn't even large enough for the rest of the shirts, which is okay. Because like I said, the amount of packages does not matter. What matters is the weight and dimension of the whole entire shipment. So let's fit as many as we can in here, and then I have a small box I can fit the last couple units in. So there we go, second package is done. Now I need one smaller box. So it's a 12 by 12 by 6. I keep these around for basically
any little extra stuff. Alright, so now you can see we have massive boxes. And this is the exact reason I recommended this scale to everyone. I love this scale. But to start out with the boxes, I always measure them and write the measurement on the top. So measurements on the box, then we're going to weigh it and write it on top. And the best part is you can just pull this out of there to check the weight. So we're at 27 pounds 1 ounce. And then this I already know is 12 by 12 by 6, and that weighs 5 pounds. So yeah, well over 50 pounds of shirts. So now we're going to cut to the computer and I'll show you the last bit. Alright, so we have the items packaged and now we need to print up labels. So you get in your inventory again, hit shipping queue. And now that you did the steps I talked about, you'll have your shipments here. Hit work on the shipment that you have packaged. And then basically you just come down here, enter the dimensions, and it'll calculate everything out for you. So we have 3 boxes. Set up the numbers. 5 pounds. 12 by 12 by 6. 27 pounds. 22 by 18 by 10. 27 pounds. 28 by 19 by 8.5. Calculate it out. And this just goes to show you exactly how good your shipping rates are. You've seen the absolute massive size of those packages. 2 of them, right? It cost $18.60. That's just ridiculously good shipping. So you accept the charges. And now you print up your labels. Amazon makes you download labels. Each label has 2 sides. Make sure you get both sides. They're very important because this is how they track your inventory since you don't have packing slips. So make sure it's on there. I'm going to print them up, meet you back at the boxes, and we'll finish this up. Alright guys, so I'm going to do the smallest box so you can see clear. Basically you're going to get 2 labels, and one is Amazon stock keeping label, and then the other is the UPS label. So you need to put both of these on the box that they're coordinated with. I'm doing the smallest one because it's the easiest to show on camera. So this is the UPS label. I always cover up my weight that I write on there just so it's not visible. And then this is the stock keeping thing. And you just put it literally right next to it. Don't put it over the crease just in case. I always put it on the opposite side. And that's it. This shipment is ready to go to FBA. All you do is take it to UPS or have, you can schedule a pickup, but it costs money. And when it gets there, they unload it and it's done. It's that simple as long as this is on there. They do ask that you don't tape over this. And I know there was this giant debate in the comments the other day about taping over labels. And honestly, I don't really care that your mother works at UPS or USPS or you don't think it's a problem. You don't tape over labels. It's just what you just don't do it. It's really simple. The reason you don't do it is because if you were to tape over a label, okay, yes, if you lay tape perfectly flat, there's no issue. However, if you're taping, if anything like this happens where it creases up, then and that happens to go over a barcode, you cannot scan through the crease, so then the barcode won't be scannable. So the whole point is just don't do it just in case. Not that it's going to cause an issue, but there's this giant debate about it. Everyone's posting about how they have family members that work at USPS and it doesn't matter and this, that, and other. Honestly, I don't care that it doesn't matter. What matters is that there's the potential for an issue, so just avoid the whole thing. Because if you were to do that on the FBA label, then they have no idea where any of those units are going, and you have inventory that's just in limbo. So just be safe, play cautious, and if you have FedEx labels, they work perfectly fine. That's what I use. That's it, guys. Alright everyone, well it's officially time to wrap this series up. I truly hope it helped you get a grasp for FBA and make you want to jump in head first.
Honestly, it's a great program. There's so much opportunity to make profit. But before I go, I'm going to talk a little bit about my numbers so you get some insight into how things are going. I'm going to go over my first month of FBA. My first shipment was delivered out on December 20th. It didn't arrive until after Christmas, so I believe it arrived on December 28th, maybe, or something like that, 27th. And it wasn't checked in for a good long while until the beginning of January, and it was my own fault. I found out about FBA around Christmas. I procrastinated a little on getting the shipment out, and it went there after Christmas. Had I gotten there earlier, my numbers could have been much better. But from January, I believe January 2nd or so, until January 31st, these are my numbers. So in that month, I did $1,816 in sales, so $1,816 in sales, and I sold over 108 units. That was in my first month ever. 1 month, that was it. And since then, I've sent in 3 shipments. I made a solid $5,000 in sales, I would say. And I'm actually running way behind. Like this series I made because I got sick and I was a week behind. That shipment would have been long gone had I been up to date and not sick for an entire week. I probably would have sent it out. But I think it worked out for the best. I hope you enjoyed the series. There's so much room to make money. I currently only have 280 units in FBA, and I get a solid 4 to 8 sales a day for around maybe $20 a piece. And if you think about it, you can have 5,000 units to start. If you fill that 5,000 up, the amount of income you're pulling in daily, it far surpasses what you're making on eBay or other platforms. And there's a lot less work involved. There really is. It's honestly a great program. You should check it out. I hope this series helped. Please subscribe and hit the thumbs up button if you have not. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.